At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Panelist.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. I'm always on point, and everybody else is always off point, as usual. With me are some of the great minds in Liberia when it comes to social issues, when it comes to politics, when it comes to the sociology of our lifestyles. And today with me is Jimmy Eastman, Mr. Dualu, and obviously my co-host, Mr. Patmore. Mr. Patmore, we're going to be brief. I want to say happy Super Bowl to you all. I want to be out of here before 6 o'clock so we can go and celebrate the Eagles. Go, Super Eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, the politics in Liberia is hot. Jimmy, what do you see in Liberia?
Oh, man. Thank you for that. Welcome, Mr. Gaiman, and to my fellow panelists. Welcome to another week of exciting discussions. As you know, this is election year, so the news is infinite. A lot to talk about. The infighting on within the parties, the cross-border conflicts from party to party, the soliciting and recruitment of funds and people. It's going to be a fun topic today. That so much going on. So rumor mill is buzzing. So I'm looking forward to a heated discussion with you guys.
Thank you very much. Mr. Patmore, you are in the Midwest. I know you're ready for the Super Bowl, but there's super news going on in Liberia. This is political season. We call it a silly season. There's a lot of stuff going on. What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, yeah. So we're noticing, like 2017, the list of endorsements that are coming for the president. We'll see. UP wasn't able to turn those endorsements into votes come 2017. Remember the 19 senators? And we're seeing the same thing now with CDC. So we are we're keen on seeing whether CDC can actually turn these endorsements into votes. But we are on it. Let's go.
Mr. Dualu, you are from the Dead Man Walking camp. Oh, excuse me. You support the Unity Party. It's a slip of the tongue here. I'm quoting Mr. Costa here, but that was in the past. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? How does your candidate feel? You don't feel confident. What's going on in your time?
Well, I think this is a foregone conclusion. The next president of the Republic of Liberia will be Honorable Joseph Boakai. So I'm not even going to comment on that. But I will tell you this. There is a gradual evolution to Liberian politics. Our people are opening their eyes, despite what people think. Liberians will vote right. You can have all your endorsement. President Weah has the keys to the national treasury. He's going to use it however he pleases. But at the end of the day, the Liberian people, given these shows and all the other shows on social media and on the radio stations in Liberia, people are listening. They're going to make decisions not just for themselves, but they and their children as well. I think Liberia is in a good place. We're going to continue to push and get us seated right so we can get rid of the likes of President Weah.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please do us a favor and share the show. We want this to be very interactive. We want this to be very hot. We want you to come ahead and see how the politics is playing on the ground. We are talking about today. There was a lot of issues going on. So we are going to talk about something that is equivalent to what we call the Sermon on the Mount, which was actually publicized as being one of the greatest sermons of our time. And in that church today, we saw the entire Republic of Liberia, who's who in the media landscape, went to this particular sermon today. Politicians, media practitioners, regular folk wanted to see what was happening. Jimmy, talk to me. Let's take on this particular topic about the sermon. that first topic, I know you had a talking point. Let's pick on this Prince Johnson sermon. What did you see? What is strange about it? What is great about it? And what's going on with Prince Johnson and the president?
Well, to the dismay and disappointment of many, Prince Johnson said he's not going to use his sermon to knock the president today. That is the news I got. Instead, he was more talking about the sacrifices and the various accounts of the early church. So some consider it he chickened out, but did he? They also alluded to that the Council of Churches got involved and tried to mitigate between he and the Folklore Church or the two individuals involved. So everybody thought it was going to be mudslinging, but it appears everything is on pause for now. That's how I look from my end.
Mr. Padmore, did Prince Johnson finally chicken out? Did he get a Jolobo, the medicine that usually kills all? Did the president give him a Jolobo?
Well, I've never seen Prince Johnson chicken out in the last 30 years, 33 years that I've been observing him. I know him to be a very strategic person. That's what I know Prince Johnson to be, and I see this just as another step in his strategy. To what end? That I don't know. But I do know he is somebody who he's very strategic. And he's hard to forgive. Prince Johnson very hard to forgive. So even when he smiles in your face, this is a man that bravely went into the barracks and took bags of rice into the barracks in the heat of the war. And everybody thought, was he chickening out? And it was just another strategy. So I mean, that's Prince Johnson. We will see. In the coming months and weeks, we'll see, what is what. And then we'll know truly what this day was about.
Dualu, from your lenses, what are you reading? If you had your crystal ball, what did you see? What did you hear? Or what didn't you see? Or what didn't you hear?
This is the conclusion that I've reached. Prince Johnson is priming President Weah for a serious demonic slap. That slap will be heard around the county of Nima County. I can guarantee you this. Prince Johnson doesn't chicken out. President Weah is being primed. But I'll say this, and I appreciate this. As a Christian, take this thing out of the churches. And I don't consider these places churches. But since our people go there with the expectation of worshiping God, let them go outside. I think Prince Johnson is taking the thing to the town square. He's going to remove them from the churches. But this is not over. This is far from over. Because President Weah has absolutely no discipline. He would not understand this. He will continue to throw jabs at other people at the pulpit. And Prince Johnson will respond in kind. I think they're just being primed. And people trying to get their supplies into the country. Once they get enough ammunition, the battle will be started right downtown Broad Street. I guarantee you that. I'll give it back to you, Mr. Gilman.
There has to be something going on in Liberia that got even the mighty tiger that I call Dualu to have him humble. Something is going on. This Jolobo that he's drinking, something going on that everybody is being humbled since this particular Million Man rally. Since the Million Man rally, it has buoyed the president, the CDC, as far as even the police chief. I mean, we are going to get to that later on when the IG himself was at a Senate hearing. He was so buoyant. He looked at the more talkative senator and told the senator, "You are a threat to national security." But before we go to that one, Jimmy Eastman, we are seeing from around the country on social media, everywhere we are seeing that people from Nima County are gearing up, some in public, some in private, disassociating themselves from Prince Johnson In fact, there is a mass movement now out of Massachusetts and New Jersey, based in Ganta, that now it's time for Prince Johnson to leave, and they do not want to give Prince Johnson 27 years of reign in Nimba County, and they are getting ready to get rid of Prince Johnson. The Eastman, what you see?
Well, even some movement in Nima County. Prince Johnson himself is pushing up Senator Kuhn for the standard bearer of the MDR. So that is a change. Usually, Prince Johnson was head of the ticket, and this is so that's a big change. The interview with Senator Kuhn showed that he's an enterprising young man. That he's a businessman. It was very solid, for introductory. So I think Nima is proud that they have another son who can stand his ground, and of course we know about the wise counselor Gongo. His candidacy is also out there, and he too has been astute and part of the progressive movement of you remember back in the day with Tipo Ted, Dr. Sawyer, and many of the other progressives there. He's been a man of principle, integrity, and so again, Nima has another son that they can boast of. So being that Nima now has choices to make, it's not surprising that we see a little bit of a shift, now that we're more fish in the sea. And then we did also see a group that publicly disassociating themselves with Prince Johnson. Some claim that group were more staged than really had any of clout at all. It looked like they're just a group of guys got together and said, well, we're not going to. I don't know what their claim or who their constituency is, but they don't seem to be far-reaching. Prince Johnson has always been very popular in Nimba, and that is because the outstanding stance he took to fight for Nimbayans. Nimbayans had to flee their county, flee the country when Deo declared the war on the county in 1985 after the Huongpa fiasco. And so it was Prince Johnson that championed their cause, and that is why he does relish a lot of support. But if that support has been waning, he's enjoyed it for the last 30 years. So we see new kids on the block. So I think it is evolving, and I think it will be split somewhat this time around. I don't think he can command all of Nima like he once did. And that is simply because of evolution. And now they got other sons from Nima with just as much gravitas that Prince Johnson has.
Muted.
Before I go to Mr. Patmore, I want to extend our sincere sympathy to the Morris family. The Morris family is a very prominent family in Grand Bassa County, a member of the Bassa High School Alumni Association. He passed last week in Maryland, and the family is in mourning. To all the Morrises out there, from us to you, we say you know my have our sympathy, and I know it's a tough time, but you are tougher than the tough time. To our brother, Mr. Hall, and all the folks from Forceville and Lower Buchanan, we want to say sorry to you. Mr. Padmore, talk to me about the political, the geographic, the segmentations of Nimba County now that the fear mongering is no longer there. Nobody fears anybody anymore. We now have the Nimba County. Last week, we saw one of the biggest chiefs in Nimba County came out and say why they have decided to not support Prince Johnson anymore. Not only didn't he support and defend Nimba County, but he killed most of the permanent sons of Nimba County on his way through the county. And he named them. He gave time, places, where they were murdered and who they were and how it happened. Mr. Padmo, Nima is getting very interesting.
Nima, I see people concluding on a county. Look, here's the thing. Ganta has become a metropolis, okay? Ganta is no longer just a city in Nima County, okay? Ganta right now has pulled in not just Yo people, Mano people. You got Pele people, you got Guinea Pele people, you got Crown people, you got Bassa people. Ganta has pulled in business people, Mandingo people, are heavily invested in. So Ganta will no longer vote the way Nima votes. Ganta does not vote according to how the tribal people vote. No, it doesn't happen that way. Ganta is turning into Magibi, Kakata. Kakata does not vote tribal. Magibi does not vote tribal. You know, they have transformed themselves. But here's the thing. Ganta is only one city. You have the rest of the county. CDC can go into Ganta and pull a crowd. ANC can go into Ganta and pull a crowd. UP can go into Ganta. We saw Boakai just a few days in Nimba County. It's going to happen. But when you start to pull from the hinterland of Nimba County, that is where the chiefs still stand. And if the chiefs still stand with Prince Johnson, wasting your time over there, man. Yeah, you might be able to pull. Look, right now, we can easily say there are at least about 200,000 votes in Nima County. Yeah, you can put 10,000 here, you can put 5,000 there, but that strong 90% where you want to hit 100,000, 120,000, 140,000, you got to go to where if you do not sympathize with the traditions of Nima County and the chiefs and where they flow, you're not gonna make it. That man I want to no, that man I keep everybody knew exactly what happened. You know who General Pay, old rebel General Pay, that General Pay coming to today. Man, you stop that thing, man. You got a late cut. This is what's gonna happen between now and October. Everybody gonna go to CDC with a budget. Look, CDC, I can bring so no more. Yeah, my budget. Once that money come, they will get on internet, they will get call press conference. That had it UP 2017. We're seeing the same thing again. They were ECDC, but can they transform those things into votes? That is where we don't believe it. And all that thing right now, that just said this is nuts.
Well, Mr. Dualu, there's something different this time around. I'm understanding what Mr. Padmo is saying. But there are people in Nima County, a huge sum, like including the General Pay and everybody else. There were people that were nominated for lucrative positions in this administration, and Mr. Prince Johnson squashed it because it didn't go through him. Now, this is not political. This is not UP or Liberty Party or CDC thing. This is raw power to suppress other people because of you. That is selfishness. That is greed, and this is what now happening to Mr. Prince Johnson, and it's going to come back to bite him.
Mr. Gaiman, the claim that Prince Johnson has the power to stop President Weah's appointment into government is ridiculous. I'm going to put that one side. That is non and void. Here's the second thing I'm going to tell you. Anybody who believes Prince Johnson's influence in Nima County has dissipated, you're out of your freaking mind. Third point, 2017 elections. CDC, before they started all the stealings and all the killings and all the lies and President Weah shenanigans, came a distant third into Nima County, a distant third. Mr. Pambo mentioned Ganta. I think, according to the last census, Ganta makes up about 20% of Nima County's population, even though it's a growing metropolis, but it's relatively small compared to the rest of the county. So there are tremendous influence out there. But let me say this. CDC's exported brouhaha or division into Nima County, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. They have to actually go into Nima County and make the case, something President Weah would not be able to do this time around without a prominent son of Nima County actually backing him. You can go to the general. Look at the name, General. What influence does this guy have in Nima County? You can get a few of the Yana boys and you put them together and give them a bag of rice and some T-shirts. We're talking about the core, the Chiefs. The Chiefs understand it. Look, much when we talk about Prince Johnson and what he did into Liberia, should be in jail with the War Crime Court. If you continue to deny that this man has tremendous clout in that county, there's something inherently wrong with you. The people still listen to him. He built the largest university in that county. He still caters to the Chiefs. President Weah will be considered a foreigner into Nima County, even though it should not be that case. But this is how our people vote. My dream, that what Mr. Palmore, I think Mr. Palmore and Mr. Ismail mentioned, if our people start voting like Kakata, they start voting like Ganta, they start voting like Moserado, this is where we want to go, not on the basis of tribe. We will arrive at a greater place, and that's my dream for my country. I'll give it back to you, Mr.
A good talking point there for Joseph Boakai, who is not in the league, not in this competition at all. We know you propping him in some basement, wheelchair. We know this, and you try to get some sympathy. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, for our brothers, the Morrises, as usual in our Bassa High School tradition, when somebody passes on, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to be in wanting, but we usually send a token of flowers. So, ladies and gentlemen, Glendies and all of our Bassa folk, send the Morrises a token, whether it's a flower, $5, they don't need it, but that's what we usually do. If something happened to Padmo, we know half of Padmo is from Bassa, we will do that. Same thing with Mr. Eastman. If something happens to you, the Bassa people will show up. And Dualu, you are Bassa to the core. Something happens to you, the Bassa people will show up. So let's go to Morrison. We're going to put a number on later on. We can all extend our sympathy to our Bassa family. Now, let's go to the third one here. I was shocked. The justice minister said he was flabbergasted that people in the prison system were eating, so quote unquote, dry rice. Mr. Eastman, I never heard this before, never seen this. The chief prosecutor, the law enforcement officer in the country said he didn't know that people were eating dry rice in the prison system. Mr. Eastman, I laugh. I don't know how this is so comical. It reminds me of George Bush during the campaign when someone asked him, do you know the price of a can of milk? And he had no clue. So is Musa Dean such an elitist that he's out of touch, Mr. Eastman?
No, actually, Musa, an old friend of mine, this is my first time hearing the government mention it. This is not the first time this thing is going on. I was at a funeral last year. One of my friend and dear friend and brother passed, Jess Selly, and Madam Selly mentioned it. This thing has been going on for some time, where there's shortage because the government is responsible to feed the prisoners, and they don't have enough to eat. I know somebody who was even in the confines of prison. He was accused of some crime, and he too said there was nothing there for them to eat. I think we need to approach the prison incarceration from a different point of view. It is necessary that those people can earn their keep, and it's an ideal way of rehabilitating them as well. We need to give those guys an opportunity to either grow food, become carpenters, do some work while they're in prison to earn their keep. It is a burden on government, but our approach to it has been that you just keep these able bodies locked up doing nothing and you're feeding them. Why not put them to work? Have them earn their food. Have them be duly utilized in various industries. And mind you, when they do come out, they may have acquired a skill that they can use in their daily life, and they will deter them from leading a life of crime. So we need to take a different approach. There always been this has been an ongoing problem feeding the prisoners. It's not today. It is alarming now that the minister himself has made mention of it. It must be at a critical point right now. But I think the whole approach to incarceration and rehabilitation needs to be revised.
Great. Mr. Padmore, we're coming to, there are great topics here. We got to come to like the confrontation between the IG and Mr. Dillon. That Dillon is basically a threat to national security. We're coming to that. That is very important. We got to discuss that. I think the IG has a point, and we're going to discuss that. But let's talk about this prison here, the prison system. Mr. Padmore, in the United States, they have different categories. After you have served your term, where they got different kinds of prisoners. Prisoners like people like those of us who were arrested, driving with your license suspended, or you don't have they give you a ticket, they impound your car, they take you in, you get up and go. That is different. Then we had those who, when they get inebriated, they get drunk, they fight in the bar. Those are different. Then you got hardcore criminals, rapists, murderers. Those are now those people who pose no threat to society, because I heard the prison system is overcrowded. If these people pose no threat to society, and we're having agricultural issue, don't you think that at some level we can say, listen, you can work your way out of here. If you work and or we give you 6 month parole of work release, they call it work release. You can go to work, do this. When you do this, you can leave. Why don't we use, or are they using it? We don't know.
Well, of course they're not using it. It's clear. But here's the thing. I mean, there's so many moving parts to this. The first thing is that I don't know why anybody's surprised that the people in prison starving. When the people outside prison starving, I don't understand why anybody's surprised. If the people outside the prison can't get food to eat, that the people inside prison will get food to eat. I beg you, man. We shouldn't even be surprised about that. That is just a normal level of economics right there. It's just simple. If the government can't feed the voters, the people that's in jail, that can feed, who can vote, that people will feed, it won't happen. But look, let's look a little deeper, right? We are looking at this only as prisoners. They're not only prisoners in South Beach. You have pre-trial people in South Beach. These people have not been convicted of anything. They were only arrested and accused. They've been put there. They haven't gone to court yet. What do you do with those people? You are starving basically innocent people because the law said they are innocent until proven guilty. What are you doing with those people? So look, does it sound nice when you say we maybe do some agricultural thing and put people on it? It sounds nice. If you ask me, you should do it just for the normal people. The government should invest in agriculture for normal people. You got 2 million people in Monrovia doing what? Nothing, passing around, saying the Zogo and Yana boys. Create an agricultural project out there somewhere. And if you pay these people, they will go there, they will work. Everybody want money. Everybody want money. If you pay them, they will leave Monrovia and they will go work for money instead of passing around all day begging in Monrovia. Start with it. If anybody is serious about this agricultural project, let's start with the people who have not committed any crime. Let's start investing in those people before we start investing in prisoners. What do you do with the prisoners? You go back to the justice system. Why are people languishing in jail for petty crimes? Why are people languishing in jail pre-trial? You go, they accuse you of something. The penalty for that is 3 months in jail. But you go to jail, you spend a year in jail before you get to court. That craziness. And this is happening. But then we have a president, because I'm going to go there, we have a president who's not serious about anything. He's there on the pulpit. There's a man that stay on the pulpit and give policy issues. And how are we supposed to solve anything in the country? How are we supposed to be serious in the country about such things? And then the AG say he's surprised. He should be fired if he's surprised. He should be fired.
Look, Mr. Gamer,
I didn't come to you here. Let me deal with the ANC man here. Coming here talking about a diatribe this diatribe about people on the outside hungry. And I'm not even going to come to you. In fact, let me come to you right now. Mr. Dualo, you are trying to get a second bite at this apple. You Joseph Boakai, you were in this government since, like he said, 43 years. Recently, he said that 43 years he's been serving his people. 12 years you were vice president. You didn't feed these people. You didn't reform the prison system. Now, come closer to the camera with your dry face and tell us how Joseph Boakai is now going to finish the job that he didn't even start. I mean, the ANC got a low point because they got no record. But you got 43 years of record, 12 years of inactivity, complete failure. You said you squander all the money, all the opportunity. Now tell me how you're going to do it. Do you have any moral aptitude? Do you have any conscience to come out here and look at ANC and me in the face and say you're going to do a better job when most of the people been there saying you were there?
Mr. Gay Man, I'm not going to allow you to pivot outside this topic. I will bring you back into the Times Square and give CDC 25 lashes because this is what it deserves. If the executive branch of government, I don't care about the Justice Ministry, the executive branch of government is run by the president. This tells you that if our people are languishing in these prisons, and President Weah doesn't even understand it, that shows you how far removed this man is from the people. The people to whom he's going to make a case to lead him for another 6 years. He doesn't even understand that plight. We have prison. I spent the last 2 months ago, 5 weeks in Liberia. I was in that prison and the other prison system in Monrovia. These are not prisons. These are like dungeons. The stench comes at you almost 200-300 feet away before the stench come at you. The prison system, our people are in there. Now, there's a good recommendation from Mr. Eastman in terms of, but I will side with Mr. Palmer's side. The people outside can barely find food to eat. Why don't you organize him better? And number two, look, most countries in the world, you can claim to have a constitution. The reason why you are the president, when something is not working, you reorganize. We give the president something called an executive power. You can come out and say, listen, if the crime, the penalty of that crime is 2 months, why are you keeping these people on garbage full of all over Monrovia? There's so many things we can do to address this. Most people in Liberia now, what they have to do, they have to cook foods at their own houses. If their brother, their son, their husbands are in jail, they take the food to the prison system. You say, oh, it's been happening before. Yes, but it has increased tremendously. And what the security guards who have not gotten paid for 6 months that work for the government, they will eat the people food and then leave it tably for the prisoners, even though his wife brought the food to the prison system. President Weah is killing this country. This man does not even understand. He has no original idea. How can he understand the issue of prison systems when he can barely understand what's happening at Jamaica Resort? I'll give it back to you.
Mr. Eastman, it's a shame how he didn't touch why Boakai have never done anything in 43 years and why he didn't do anything as vice president. You see how he ran away from it? Very slick.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
You see, this is the unity party that we had and that we will never have again. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. Mr. Eastman, there's a new kid on the block, new ideas. Mr. Joseph Boakai said, according to Front Page Africa, that he needs all hands on deck. All hands on deck. And that now he's open for collaboration. Mr. Eastman, a few months ago, Joseph Boakai was saying, I took loan. Go to IB Bank. I got 5 loans. I want my boys, when I leave from here, to get something. In the meantime, he made sure that his 3 boys got lucrative job in the Weah government, and he's still taking a loan. And he know he was going to be number 1. Now, what happened, Mr. Eastman? Actually, let me start with Dualu here because that's his camp. I know I took a loan. Mr. Dualu, here we are. Why now you need all hands on deck? A few months ago, you were this Mr. Omo. You know the Omo thing in Liberia? You remember that soap Omo? You was a giant. Nobody can touch you. Now, all of a sudden, something happened in the last 2 weeks. Something happened. Joseph Boakai,
to his defense,
yeah, go ahead.
To Boakai, VP Boakai defense, he said, I live on loan.
Okay. Yeah, I live alone. You go to IB Bank. I took 5 loans. Okay, Mr. Dualu, talk to me. What happened the past 2 weeks that made Joseph Boakai to finally believe and understand, to be so humble as to say, I need all hands on deck, or hint to collaboration?
Mr. Gilman, let me tell you like this. It shows the brilliance of Mr. Boakai. And I will tell you what is extremely brilliant. By saying I live on loan. We all live on loans here in this country. But I will say this to you. Mr. Boakai, at no time, under any circumstance, did he say, I want all hands on deck. He said he's open. He's open for conversations. You can try to expand that to mean whatever you want it to mean. That's great. Any political party who is not open for conversation, there's something wrong with you. But living on loan is a financially prudent thing to do compared to just taking your hard-earned cash and using it. I never use my own money that I earn. I live on loan. Everything I do is on loan. My house is loan. My car's a loan. Everything I do is on loan. If I owe more money than I will have in the bank, because this is how it's supposed to be. I think Mr. Boakai is afraid of touching the people's money. This is what we want in leadership. He'd rather go take a loan that his name is on and not touch the people's money like President Weah is doing. He's stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from the Liberian people to enrich himself. You claim Mr. Boakai has worked in government for over 40 years, which is not true, but I will concede that point to you for the sake of conversation. If you worked in government for over 40 years, and given the society we have, where we believe everybody steals from the government, don't you think Honorable Boakai will be a rich man by this time? That goes to tell you the kind of upright individual you're dealing with. He doesn't care about the Liberian people's money. He cares about delivering to the society a condition that will be equitable across the spectrum for all of our citizens. And this is what we should want. Honorable Boakai is the right man for this position, and he will be there come 2024.
Mr. Eastman.
Okay. Yeah, let me come right after.
Mr. Eastman, before you come in here, this got to be the most comical of the answers I've ever heard. The most astute lawyer in the country, they live Brunskin. He said Joseph Boakai is not a regular common Joe. He said from 2014 to 2016, Joseph Boakai, according to the budget, which is empirical fact, Joseph Boakai made $9.3 million in 3 years. And the entire Lo-Fi County made $2 million. Joseph Boakai is not a common Joe that you and I know. Joe is not as poor as Joe thinks. Joe is a very wealthy man. In fact, he said Joe is in the top 1%. This is not I. This is Honorable the late Charles Walker Bruskin. He says, I know Joseph Boakai. Joseph Boakai is a friend of mine. Joseph Boakai is not a common Joe. Mr. Eastman, I think you are listening to the tape. I don't think anybody can question the authority of the late Bronsky. He talks, he understands. Joe Boakai, last week when he spoke, he said, 43 years I have served my people. So we cannot, these are facts. Joseph Boakai has squandered all his personal opportunities. And not only that, but he's one of the most dishonest human beings on the face of the earth. Until recently, when they came out with the turnover notes that we've been talking about, when the president went to Joe Boakai and said, Joe, give me names of people in your, that you want, recommend folks to us to employ. The first 5 people he sent to the CDC were his children and 2 of his nephews. All 3 Joe Boakai's children are working in lucrative positions in this government. And he never once admitted it, Mr. Eastman.
Yeah, you know, I hear he the VP made this pitch for all hands on deck. But this is what I don't understand now, and I never understood this. The VP, the UP party, they were all part of this CPP vehicle. And to me, that vehicle was the best vehicle to see the VP become president, because it was a coalition of various parties. It had gained incredible popularity. It was very successful in the by-elections. And you could see that everybody was looking up to this group. But it was under VP Boakai's tenure as leader of the group that they allowed the group to disintegrate. The infighting started from the Benani U.S. faction and Mr. Costa going on serious attacks on Mr. Cummings, and in fact, it even went to trial. For me, it would have been prudent for VP Boakai to keep them at bay. Lead them so they do not disintegrate and break apart. I couldn't believe it when I saw him let this vehicle break apart. Allegedly, they were concerned that Cummings would have used financial influence to win delegates when they go to the convention. I don't believe that rumor. I believe that with the clout VP Boakai has, it would have been a fair run. And had he won that convention, he would have been supported by Cummings and all the others. But instead, he allowed this fracas to fissure the coalition and break it up. And I don't understand why would he allow that very vehicle that would have taken him to power to break up. And so today, calling for all hands on deck, I think it's a bit too late. You said what is it? $1 short? A day late and $1 short. I'm sorry. That's how I look at it.
Mr. Padmore, I know you're trying to quote Joseph Boakai to make your man VP, and you are hoping Joseph Boakai have always suspected you of using cash violence when you came up with all these perception survey and all of these things that you're trying to bring, and then you turn around, according to them, that you fingered the document that brought you to power, and that fingering document took you to court, and you almost went to jail. You had to go to the imperialist Great Britain to bring Tony Blair to town to prop you up. And I see that something is going on here that is not it don't smell right to you. But here we are, the vice president say all hands on deck. Are you ready to put your hands on deck?
So first, let me just state this, because I see some people talking once more about this Cummings VP stuff, and I will state very clearly what I've always said. Right? You cannot even entertain a notion if you have not been solicited. Alexander Cummings has never ever been asked by Ambassador Boakai to be VP. So you cannot expect him to even entertain the notion. That being said, the CPP is still there. The CPP is still there. The CPP has not fallen apart. The CPP is still in force. Yes, people left. If Ambassador Boakai is true to form that he wants all hands on deck, you just call back the CPP. Everything is there. Why should you reinvent the wheel? If you want to make few changes and whatever, there's space for that. But why reinvent the wheel? The CPP is there. We saw what the CPP did in the past. Why reinvent the wheel? Just come right back to the table. Let's sit and talk. That's what we've always said from day one. Why leave? We are understanding people. We are supposed to show the Liberian people, hey, we want to lead, and because we want to lead, we'll show you that when we have issues, instead of taking our ball and going home from the football field, we'll stay there, we'll talk it out, we'll come to a reasonable conclusion. We are still at the table. If Boakai is serious, if Ambassador Boakai is serious about all hands on deck, he can return to the table and conversations can start again. The table is still there. The table is still there, Ambassador Boakai. It's still there.
Dualu, I know at some point there are rumors in Monrovia that there are corporations out of the Northeast that want to sell chicken feet, that want to sell pig food, that want to sell chicken and all that stuff. They're waiting for Boakai to come to power. what we are seeing here is has left the Boston Harbor. It looks like the ship, I'd say it has left. Mr. Padmore left a little wiggle room that he thinks the ship is about to leave, but the door is open. Are you willing to come back to the table? Are you willing to come back to the CPP and eat crow?
Mr. Gaiman, I will not allow you to say something that is so ridiculous and just have you skim over it. You claim Honorable Boakai made over $9 million when the people of Lofa County only made $2 million. With that conclusion, you were suggesting that it's also fair to conclude that President Weah's office has been allocated $15 to $20 million every single year in the budget for the last 5 years. That means President Weah has made over close to $100 million. This is so ridiculous, I can't even begin where to start. Money's allocated to your budget is not your personal money. There's records there. CDC has the authority now to pull the vice president record throughout the 12 years and make it public to the country. They have every opportunity to do that today. So the claim that vice president made $9 million otherwise vice president is ridiculous. There is no evidence to substantiate it. If you think I'm lying, let CDC make the records public. And I will say this to you. Look, let me tell you something. And Mr. Pablo says something. I'm not going to expand on it because I'm not going to give him that edge, but I will say this. The CPP, the leadership in the CPP allow the dissipation or the dissolution of the organization by allowing the surrogates to divide that organization. I, for one, was always for the cohesion of the CPP. If you go to my old video, I constantly spoke about this because I felt if this the cohesion whole or were held at the time, even now with the dissolution of all the political parties, CDC still has no chance, given how the numbers are arranged. But it would have been a better opportunity, and I think the leadership allow the surrogates, the handlers to create a division that kind of dissolve the CPP. What I wanted to go by, it is not up to me. I'm just a mayor supporter. I'm not an insider. I belong to no political party. Whatever decision they make, we will make our decision following that. But at the end of the day, Boakai will be president 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, please share this show. Your friends may not be my friends. My friend may not be Mr. Palmo's friend. We all have different circles, and at some point we'll merge. Please share this show, join the conversation. We are looking at some beautiful comments here. We're going to display some of the comments, and we're going to respond to some of the comments. And we may have made a few minutes to get to some of your calls. We have to go to our Super Bowl. Everybody has to go to the Super Bowl and cheer on the Super Eagle to bring the trophy home. Mr. Eastman, let's go to the complementary topic here. Or before we go to that topic, let me remind you that the two last topics we're going to discuss here is the conversation between the IG, the Inspector General, and Senator Dillon. When Senator Dillon was accused or is under surveillance for being a threat to national security, we'll discuss that. Before we discuss that, we'll discuss with all that is going on here, what happens to the Nyomli-Kangas of the world, what happens to the Urans of the world. We'll discuss all of these, but for the next one, Mr. Eastman, before we come to those other topics, what caused Mr. Boakai to finally pivot? Some folks are saying it is the financial constraint, looking at the budget to run a presidential campaign. It is cost intensive. I think they said they had one of the largest fundraisers last week and they raised $20,000. That is not even a drop in the bucket. When we talk about $20 to $30 million. Has that, the rally, the massive 1 million that turned out to be 3 million people worldwide that came to endorse the president. Monrovia was locked down, Buchanan was locked down, San Quentin was locked down, Venjima was locked down, Foya was locked down, Mana River was locked down, Monserrato, no space. The massive turnout, the support of the president scared even the devil out of hell. Now we are seeing people are trembling, people are shaking. What happened? Something happened. Somebody shook Joseph Boakai. Finally, he says, listen, this Mount Rushmore, I would not be able to claim this run at Rushmore. George Weah is a force And to beat this guy, I need all hands on deck. I need every dime and every penny. It looks at that Dualo, that fundraiser you had. You say you raised about $20,000. It's a shame. When the CPP had a rally, the last time I heard that $257,000. So I see, Mr. Eastman, what are some of the issues that finally got yourself? I gotta say, you know what? I can't do this alone, and the loan, I'm living alone. The loan can't do it. Talk to me.
Yeah, you should have been in Hollywood, man. But yeah, it does cost a good bit of money to run a campaign. And they're going, and the UP party will have to, the UP party and others will have to find that money somewhere, that financing somewhere to do it. And most of the time, that is when you have people who are interested in you becoming the leader, making that kind of investments. Leaders from other countries, business people, when they know the prospects of you becoming president, then they will support you and finance you. So this is where that money has to come from. And that is why people always look for people who have that recognition to bring investors in the country, to bring people who will invest. So I am sure that when they were breaking away from the CPP, all this would have been a thought in their mind that they would need some investors to do this. So they're coming to America now, I guess, is to rally some support. But accordingly, the fundraiser was for a charity, if I'm not mistaken. But it's going to require a good bit of finances, and it's a serious issue. And all this should have been thought about before. So today you see them looking around for support. It's going to be embarrassing if they don't find that money very, very soon. We may see an exit, because if you don't have the money to campaign, if those people who believe in the party, all those UP partisans, now it's time to reach deep. Of course, the incumbent president has deep pockets, and they will turn out the crowds like they did the other day.
The treasury, not deep pockets. The treasury, the elaborate treasury.
Okay, they will turn out the crowds. So you knew this is what you are going against. All right. So yeah, they need all hands on deck, and you know what they need? They need all pockets on deck. They need for people to bring all their finances and financing, because it is going to be it's going to get very expensive. And I don't know if you guys are aware, this is a side note, that the election commissioner, the chairperson of the National Election Commission, disclosed that while the country may be adopting the use of biometric technology for voter registration, the system will not be used in 2023.
Correct.
So it's going to be manual. So everybody keeping their eyes open. But yes, VP needs a lot of money. That all hands on deck, all pockets on deck. Y'all need to bring the man some post if he's going to run an election.
Mr. Padmore, what happened in the last 2 weeks? Because we were talking about hardcore, my way or no way from the UP camp, the Casalis of the world, the Mo Alis of the world. They were masquerading Monrovia as the CPP had no place coming, has no place, no relevance, and no one knew him. Why now? What happened?
Well, the people had rally. It had a fundraiser. Reality is a, you know what I mean. I won't use those words here. But the fact of the matter is, let's be serious for one. Even if you put the money aside, the best chance that the opposition has for dethroning this government is as a united opposition. This play that some people think is a genius plan that will go individually, and then when UP wins, when UP enter into second round, then everybody will gather behind UP is a faulty plan. We saw that plan in 2017. It did not work. It did not work, my people. It won't work again. It won't work again. The best scenario for the opposition to dethrone this crooked government is to go in as a united front. That is the best one. That is the best one. Who had, who not had, who on it, who not on it, that is secondary. The very first thing is they need to come together. When you put the cart before the horse, who want to be president, who want to be vice president, who want to be speaker, who want to be on the ticket, who shouldn't be on the ticket? When you put that before coming together, this is what we have. This is what we have. So then you put, because you see, when you do those, then you put personal egos and personal achievement and personal desires before the country. If you put the country first, then the opposition will unite before they start talking about who will be on the ticket, who will be a advisor, and who too old, who too young, and all that other thing. And until they do that, this is what we will have. This is what we'll have, and it is. And the Liberian people have sent the message so clear, and if they're not hearing it, then it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see what happens on tour.
Mr. Dualu, money, no one can say you can separate the two. Our past elections, you heard the Republican raised $2.1 billion. Similarly, for the Democratic Party, close to $4 billion. So anybody who tells you that they don't need money, they are lying to themselves. What will it take for the Joseph Boakai, the Unity Party, to actually say, you know what, we are ready, because we know that we have the financial standing, we have the backings of our supporters, we are financially ready to fight this war. How is this possible? And where does the Unity Party stand at this point?
Mr. Gibbon, the claim that Unity Party will not have money to fund their campaign is a flawed concept. They will have the money. But I will not allow you to skip over anything. That's why I always have my pen when you're speaking. Number one, the SG or the IG, he was insubordinate in the Liberian Senate.
We're not coming to that yet.
I'm going down the list. He was insubordinate in the Liberian Senate. I think he should have gotten sanction for that. He should have been addressed immediately. Now, to the senators in Liberia, the entire body got disrespected, and you think it's a joke because this was Senator Dillon. It will come to haunt you tomorrow. I will say something. You're talking about campaign money. President Weah did not have a pot to pay in 2017. He was dead broke. This is a man that did not even have a vehicle. He did not have a vehicle. He has to beg friends for clothes at times. He has to beg people for plane ticket. You're talking about money or running the campaign. He had to go to BMs to give him money. This president that was arrested in America with drug dealers and taken to a local jail until he got out of that jail. This is the man you're talking about running in the country. You have a respectable state man, the president of Boakai, you want to compare it to. And I will say this to you. Tomo Fala had the state coffers in the Republic of Liberia. They used to call him ATM, walking around, throwing money all over the place. They don't beat him by over 100,000 difference. 100,000 plus difference in the Republic of Liberia. Money is important, but money would not decide this election because our Liberian people understand the suffering that they are going through. They will come to your rallies because they know it's the money from the state's coffer. And I will quote the VP of the Republic of Liberia, Joe Howard Taylor. She said, this is stolen money that President Weah is stealing from you. When they bring the money, you take it, you eat it, that your money. This is Joe Howard Taylor. And I will repeat that. When George Weah brings the stolen money to the Liberian people, you take the money, you eat the money, but you vote him out. Money will not decide this election. The people of the Republic of Liberia will decide the election, and they will vote for Honorable Joseph Boakai.
When did VP Howard say that, Mr.
She said that in Bon County during the election.
Mr. Eastman, this man is a politician. Don't listen to him for fact because he's not there. This man, he's when a man is drowning, he grasps for anything. Joseph Boakai is not here. before we just say coming is a non-factor on the political stage, Joseph Boakai had dissolved, had melted. He has melted into a basement. He's in some kind of basement. He's done.
Address President, we are being arrested in Bestman's house when they came to do a drug raid. I want you to address that.
We are talking about the president.
It's public record. I can pull it up and send it to you too.
Listen, we are talking about who's president, who's not president. Mr. Eastman. The man said when they bring your money, eat it, but he's not saying how you're going to pay his way to get into a car to go from Lofa to Buchanan, from Buchanan to Mount County. All of those things, it requires money. You can't go to the gas station and say, when I become president. You see, when the president, you said the president didn't have money and he won the election. Just imagine now he has resources. But this is where we are at this point here. Based on what we are hearing more than about cash. I think you heard it too, the Romans. What is this thing about Joseph Boakai quitting? It's all the trouble, financial trouble, health issue, basement issue, pool issue, playing pool issue, can't stand too long issue, pacemaker issue, all of these issues. What are we hearing about Joseph Boakai quitting?
Well, we expect to hear a lot of rumors since this is 2023 election year. We're going to hear a lot of speculations. We're going to hear the rumor mill buzzing all day long. But the truth stands that Joseph Nima Boakai is determined to become president of Liberia. He was with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and he did not get an outright endorsement from her, but he still pursued. It's after 5 years now to 6. He is still pursuing this goal. I do not believe he's going to back out. There are going to be challenges like with everything else. There are going to be some financial issues, but the one thing he has shown, he is determined to become president of Liberia. And so I want to dispel all those rumors that he's going to quit. I think he will pursue it till the very end, and that's what we can be looking forward to.
Mr. Eastman, I'm going to start with you on this one here. With what's going on, there's something in politics called plausible deniability. It is quite possible for us to say this is not going to happen. We can deny all we can, but in the absence of resources, massive resources to run a campaign with no deep pockets around, with promises from everywhere, where does this leave the Nyobli Kangas of the world, the Dylans of the world, the Urits of the world? What other options do they have now that this ship is sinking? Nyobli Kangas' dream of becoming a vice president or vice presidential candidate is dwindling. And if there was a merger between the CPP, I'm talking about Mr. Ure or Mr. Boakai and Mr. Cummings, where does this leave the Dylans of the world, the Nyobli Kangas of the world, the Ures of the world? What other options there are for them? Mr. Eastman, I will let you get a
right. So this is where his selection of VP will add impetus to his quest for presidency. His choice of VP. So if he makes Kanga Lawrence Yombli, if he makes her his VP choice, he's going to get Dylan and all that vehicle to push him. They will have to reach in their pockets and provide the financial support necessary. They will go to their voters. They will go to their constituents. They will go to people who support them and get this money. If they make Ure his VP, well, we have always known that Mr. Ure is one of the richest men in the country. Mr. Ure will reach deep in his pockets and support the campaign. So his selection of VP will be critical to financial. We remember last elections, he chose Nukwe. Nukwe at the time was supposed to be pretty lucrative. He had, according to my sources, he had a lot of funds. So whoever he picks will have to help pick up the bill. And this is what we will see very soon. I understand that it should be within the coming month or so. We're going to see his pick for VP, and that is when they campaign would gain impetus, depending on which way he goes.
Mr. Eastman, February, we're in the middle of February already. Basically,
you don't want me to tell you again? You skip me over me?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Remember, I said Joseph Boakai, your popularity in politics are dwindled. I kind of went over you, but I'm coming to that. From the basement, I'm going to call you upstairs. Mr. Dualu, let's talk about money. Let's talk about resources. Let's talk about all of those who do not have the deep pockets, but they were depending on Joseph Boakai, like the Dylans of the world, the Mo Alis of the world, the Anthony Kesselis, the Nyobli Kanga. What would be the option now if things don't pan out as we thought they would?
Mr. Gaiman, there's no if there. Everybody claim, and Mr. Boakai himself claim he borrows money to live over. He will get the money if it costs him to borrow the money to run his campaign. You don't need more than $2 million to run a presidential campaign in Liberia. But you're talking about deep pocket. In 2017, President Weah could not pay $200 in child support. He had no money. Measly $200. He could not pay that in child support. Where did he get money from to run his campaign? Honorable Boakai has the clout. You'll be able to generate the money to run that campaign. But let me tell you something. I'll keep stressing this. Money is not going to win you a campaign in Liberia anymore like it were in the past. I want you to understand this. The people of Liberia understand this. They will go out because this is who they want this time around, Honorable Boakai. They will go out. Look, I was sitting as Honorable Cummings, and before I give it to my brother Palmore, and he will crucify me for this. But I believe the greatest opportunity to get Mr. Cummings over the hump, it is in the form of a collaboration because he does not have that winnability factor to him as it stands right now. There's a lot of work to be done. And I understand you can claim Mr. Cummings has money. The Cummings doesn't go around telling you he has money. He himself is going to raise some money. If he had the money, he wouldn't be raising money all around. There's no personal money. Everybody's going to raise their own kind of money. But let me tell you, the old campaigning where you have to go to a village and bring a bag of money and throw it in the air, no, it doesn't work that way anymore. Honorable Boakai doesn't have to give people money to win. He's going to be president. It is a foregone conclusion. Look at the numbers across the country. In fact, the more people that are run, the better it is for Honorable Boakai. Let me tell you that. President Weah will now win more than 20-25% of the votes. This is carved in stone. I'll give it back to you.
Mr. Eastman, when we are talking about delusional, the people in the United Party, they remind me of the Romans. They sit around 2,000 years since they left this earth, but yet it's written on the wall in stone that the Roman Empire will rise again. I see the Unity Party. The Unity Party saying, they got no money. They were evicted from their headquarters. They don't belong to any organization. They have no structure. They have no leaders. They have no money. But yet it's still magically, they think they are the Greek phoenix. They will just rise up from the ashes to the top. What a delusion that election is not based on money. He says it is not based on money. I don't know what part of this world this man lives, but Mr. Eastman, you tell me what are the options for all the hanger-ons, these people who thought Joseph Boakai was their meal ticket to this promised land. The ship had left them home. How does a woman like Nyobli Kanga, a man like Darius Dylan, the Mo Alis of the world, where does this leave them? What options do they have now? Do they cross over? Or, as we speak, are there conversations going on beneath the surface for them to cross over, or maybe they have crossed over already.
You know, I don't know if Mr. Padmo wanted to take this first because he seemed to wanted to chime in a minute ago. But let me do a little bit justice to it. If you want people to vote for you and you don't have money to give them, then you have to champion their issues. You have to be speaking for them. In other words, you have to run a grassroots campaign. All right, so that people that the widow boys, the market women, the motorcyclists, the people who are living in the ghetto or living in the graveyard, if you're talking about issues that they will relate to that directly affect them, if you provide them hope that you're going to change their existence tomorrow, that you're going to give them the possibility of earning a good living and providing for their families, if you can speak directly to them, that they can have that confidence that you are capable of doing it, then you will not need money to run your campaign. But has this been the mantra of the Unity Party? I think CDC championed this, and the people have seen the accomplishment of CDC for the last 5 years. So when you're going to run this kind of campaign again, the people are getting wiser every day. And I'm not sure if this is the character of the Unity Party. So it's a stretch. It is a stretch, but it can be done.
Great. Mr. Padmore, and when I'm talking about folks around just Mr. Boakai, there's a distinction with the ANC, and I have to give it to you guys. Most of the folks that I interact with, like you, Theola Gibson, and all of the other folks, they are highly professional folks who have options, who have other things to do outside of becoming president. Joseph Boakai does not have that luxury. His followers, that the more allies of the world I'm talking about, with the exception of Darius Dillon and Yomli Kanga, who already are employed, this was just a means to another level in their careers. But besides those two, the rest of those who were either former employees of government waiting to come back into government, and those who are unemployed, underemployed, and unemployable individual hanging on to Joseph Boakai, what would be their options now?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. The thing is, I don't know what their options are. They've been living for 6 years, right? Almost 6 years. How they've been living, they will continue living like that. Look, a Cummings presidency will not be based off partisanship. It will be based off qualified Liberians being hired to do the job and to do the job with integrity. That's what it's going to be. And so if you are a member of the UP, a member of Liberty Party, a member of CDC, and you are qualified and you have shown yourself as a person of integrity, and you want to serve your country, of course you will be taken into consideration. That is what it is. But look, this thing about money. Look, let me clear something for my man Dwalu here. Look, whenever I talk about money in politics, it's not just about taking bag of money, going to the village, and throwing the money in the air. No, you have 73 districts. Election law says that you have to have an office. If you are going to compete in those places, you have to have an office. You gotta have a county person. You gotta have district person. You gotta have zonal person. You gotta have community person. If you want to win at a grassroots level, you gotta have those people at every level, and you have to provide logistics for them. Pure logistics. If you're just talking about one vehicle per district, that's 73 vehicles you have to buy. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. You can't skip on your way into such an election. You have to be prepared. I remember, I will say this. I remember when the ANC started to build its diaspora base and start to create an international footprint. They used to call us the Internet Party. They used to call it the Diaspora Party. It used to look, some people from the ANC used to be very, very highly disappointed. They used to come to complain. The people calling us this or the people. And Mr. Cummings always used to tell us, be encouraged. Be encouraged. The fight we are going into is going to cost money, and we are going to need money to finance it. Today, when the whole rally, they can't even reach 6 figures good. When we hold rally, we dance inside it. This is work that we have been doing for 6-7 years, and we are seeing the fruit of our labor. And so we are not discouraged. Going into the next 8 months, the ANC is not discouraged. We have done our homework. We will continue to march forward into October. Who comes with us? Come with us. Who chooses not to? You on your own.
I love the motivation, Mr. Palmore. But Mr. Gamer, you don't need to speak. I can just come ready.
Go ahead.
This. At no point that I mentioned that money was not important. This is what I say. I would say this very slowly. I said money is important, but money is not going to win these elections. That's what I said. Now, Mr. Palmore, you mentioned something there, which is true. You need money, and you need 73 vehicles. I don't know one political party that's won the election in Liberia that have more than 20 vehicles. You say 73s. There are other means to get into these districts. So I understand the crucial in these zonings and poll washers, etc. That money would be gotten. But the money to look, if Honorable Boakai gets $2 million, he can run the election just fine. You don't need $2 billion like in the US. If he gets $2 million, he can run that election. And I think he'll be able to get $2 million to run that election. Let me say this again, because somebody will take the clip and say, "Well, said Honorable Boakai will get $2 billion." No, I did not say that. Honorable Boakai needs $2 million to run these campaigns, and he will get that money. At the end of the day, the people of the Republic of Liberia will decide. Look, I've said this on the drive in many times. Mr. Cummings, there's been nobody in the Republic of Liberia who has worked across Liberia more than Mr. Cummings has. My argument is, has that working across Liberia produced the kind of results that Mr. Cummings needs? No, it has not. It has not. Liberian people normally vote 2-3 years in advance, and they've already decided majority over 80% that they're going to vote for Boakai. So at the end of the day, Boakai is the next president. He just has to put the organization together, and that's my argument.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to buy a lakeside or ocean front in Lofa County, you need to talk to Dualu. Remember, there's no ocean in Lofa, but he has like the ocean front, like Bassa, like Cape Palmas, like Montserrat. He has one for you.
How you know we're not going to create a channel from Maryland? We create a channel and the water comes inside.
There you go. Mr. Padmore, Mr. Padmore, you remember Joseph Boakai was famous saying that when he became president, in 30 days he will pave all the roads in Liberia that the see people here.
He never said that. He never said that.
Yeah, you're going to visit 30 days, all the roads. Okay, Mr. Eastman, finally here. I know we're all ready to go and watch the Super Bowl and let the Super Eagle bring this thing home to the East Coast. You know, I'm an East Coast man, so I gotta go with the East. But there was a major confrontation finally in the Senate this going week, where the senator, for some reason, got caught off guard. He was trying to brag. He got caught up in his own trap. And if Anthony is around and we have the video, we play. When Mr. During the campaign, when the candidate for the Senate, Mr. Dillon, well, actually he was senator, when he said the president, I guess there was an incident where Stone was thrown at one of his rallies. He said he will stone the president. He said, I will serve as the general to encourage my men to go to the president's house and stone his house. And if his men shoot, they will not know where gun comes from, and we will shoot. This is a sitting senator talking about possibly assassinating the president of the republic. that tape, based on his own oration, based on his own oration, based on his own speaking, he became an interest to the state. And as we speak, the SG were bold enough to tell him, yes, you are a national security threat. Mr. Eastman, something is going on in Liberia where the administration, the executive branch, people are getting so emboldened. Something is going on where the president stood and took on one of the most powerful warlords in the country in Prince Johnson. And today in the Senate, the IG took on one of the senators and said, yes, you are a threat, existential threat to this nation, to national security, and you are still under surveillance. Mr. Eastman, that was telling.
You're muted.
You are muted. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you now.
No, not yet.
Too bad we don't have the tape. You know, it's a pity we could let. But what happened in the Senate the other day was a very heated exchange between the SG and Senator Dillon. When Senator Dillon made these pronouncements, it was in the atmosphere of politicking, where his groups had been attacked allegedly by seditionists, and he said that in return we will retaliate if that is the case. He was bold to say such a thing, but you can see his emboldenment awarded him the victory, because to be a leader, you have to be brave, that people will believe in you. And when you can see that he was eventually elected because of his boldness. But today, for him to still be a security risk, you know, as a sitting senator for Montserrat County, I don't understand it. But what surprised me, that in the chambers of the legislature, that the SG felt so unrestrained to go and argue with a senator like that without any fear of being held in contempt. Well, we can clearly see this was a power struggle between the legislature and the executive. We're seeing a lot of power struggles, as you alluded to, Mr. Gaiman. We see a power struggle between a former warlord and political leader and the president. We're seeing a lot of power struggles. We must remember there's nothing wrong with politicking and power struggling, but it has to be within a civil discourse. It should not culminate into violence of any kind. And we have need to be concerned about it, but it is not out of the ordinary that these things go on, but we have to respect laws and order. So I agree with you. There's need to be concerned, but we need to remind the people that the laws that exist on the books must be adhered to, and that is for the incumbent and for those who are contesting. Fair play should be the rule of the day. Anything short of that, we saw what happened in 1985 when the elections were rigged. We saw what happened in 1920, the King election, when they had more votes than
registered voters.
So it is incumbent upon us that we be as fair as possible with what we do, because the outcomes are never good when we do anything less. So yeah, I agree with you. We need to be concerned about all this that's going on.
Mr. Padwell, same thing. What's your take?
look, let's do some context here. So the first thing is that this was in the middle of a heated election. Okay, the CDC had committed themselves to defeating Dillon. The chairman of the CDC, Moba Molu, had gone on all out and said, if I do not defeat Dillon, I will resign. But one and all will not have a job after these elections. On 3 previous occasions, Dillon's campaign had been attacked by hooligans throwing stones.
Allegedly.
No,
it's on video.
I said hooligans throwing stones. You said allegedly? Okay, you see, you're not even.
It's on video. It's on video. I can send it to him.
The very last one happened in Douala. Before this video, it happened in Douala, where Senator Dillon had gone there, and the representative from District 16 had put some people together and decided he was going to hold some sort of CDC party stuff right next door, and that culminated into stone throwing. And what that meant was that the first thing is that you have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to defend yourself. That is indoctrined in the Constitution. If you are attacked, you have a right to defend yourself. And Senator Dillon stood up and said, look, if the president will remain quiet and he knows his people are doing these things, then maybe if we threaten him, then he will wake up. The next thing we have to remind our people is that less than 72 hours later, Senator Dillon made another tip. If you had to play the tip of Senator Dillon issuing these remarks, you are also under obligation to play the tip that Senator Dillon made less than 72 hours later, where he took back all of this and encouraged people to be peaceful. They actually sat down with the Liberian National Police to come out with a plan to keep things peaceful. Senator Dillon is on the Judicial Committee. Senator Dillon is on the Joint Security Committee. How can you take a senator on the Joint Security Committee and say he is a threat? This is a man that is supposed to be overseeing you as the IG, and then you say he is a threat. But you're comfortable with him being somebody that oversees you. It was crazy, and just his back and forth, his boisterous nature and stuff. Look, if this Senate had any spine, they would have locked that dude up till Monday. If they had any spine, they would have held him in contempt. They would have ordered his arrest, and they would have locked him up till Monday morning. Just to show the people, like, we are the same. This is our job. You don't come here and do those things. But of course, we saw them whimper and beg for some sort of apology, and they got the apology, and somehow they feel they're okay. These are the long-standing things. I will end with this. If the IG can do this in Senate chambers,
yeah.
Think about when he is in his own element.
Well, Mr. Dualo,
let me come in. You don't have to explain.
No.
Let me come in.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got it down.
Go ahead.
We don't have time. Super Bowl coming up.
Go ahead.
I wrote them down. The most dangerous element in Liberia has been the CDC-led government. They decided to disorganize every security in the country. Everything I'm about to tell you is on video. Everything. Lieutenant McGill was the only person in the Republic of Liberia that hired ex-generals on video to ensure whatever security they were doing. These are people that were not commissioned within our security sector. Honorable Koji said in sweat and blood, they were willing to counter anybody. He said everywhere the opposition goes, he's going to go there with his men. He was threatening, even the Americans have to come out and say, listen, you guys have to caution this. Everywhere Senator they don't win. They were insisting on winning this election by any kind of means necessary. Abu Balan Kamara, Taylor Ure case, everything, they were throwing stone everywhere. At no time, the senator did not mention one day about guns. He said they would throw stone back at the president's convoy. If the president continued to stop these people, he never mentioned anything about guns. Never. He said if they throw stone, we would throw stone back. Number 3, Koji himself during I believe Yobikanga Lawrence somewhere in district Kra, that girl Kra, they had to lock up the senator, a sitting senator in the Republic of Liberia. There was men carrying machete with Koji himself walking in the street. The only people that have threatened the security of the people of the state has been seditions, sanctioned by the Republic of Liberia. But I want to say this to the Senate. It was not about Senator Dillon. They should have disrobed. Mr. Palmer, you're talking about locking him for 2 days. He should have been disrobed and taken out of the police force. This man disrespected the Liberian Senate. He was very rude. He's become a partisan police, and the police officer in the Republic of Liberia are wearing CDC uniform openly against the Constitution. Let me tell you something you don't know in the Republic of Liberia. Every citizen has the right to protect his life and property against anybody that's trying to take that away from him. It is constitutional. It is law. I'll give it back to you, Mr. Gaiman.
Well, you see, this is the hypocrisy that we talk about. When we're talking about Zolizo, when Zolizo went out for confirmation, Zolizo was a gentleman who says, my property, my investment in Liberia, if you guys go to my family and destroy my property, I am going to use all means necessary, including if I have to shoot to defend my property and my family. And Darrell Dillon took him on and denied him and squashed his confirmation in the Senate because he said the man was too violent. And then a few days from there,
cannot stop the confirmation.
Few days from there, he went on to say that if the president protections shot back, he wouldn't know where gun would come from, where shooting would come from. And he would take the lead wherever they go, they would carry rocks, and he would throw them, and he would be the general. And you are saying here today that Dillon has never mentioned guns, Mr. Eastman. We got 2 minutes here to go reading our comments. This is the IG's job is security. It doesn't matter who is in the presidency. Their job is security. They take everything, like in the United States. If you pick up the phone now, and even on Facebook and threaten the president, the FBI will come knocking your door just to check to make sure what you are saying is true, whether you are capable of carrying it out. All of these things are fair play. Only in Liberia, where these folks are saying, well, it was in the heat of campaign. This was a sitting senator, Mr. Eastman.
Oh boy, yes, he was he did not say as a sitting senator.
Yeah, he was a sitting senator.
When
the first election he beat Palata.
Yeah, he was a sitting senator.
Okay, that is true. This is in the vein of politics. It's different when it's in the vein of politics than it is when you are making a serious attempt to threaten the president or the state. Okay, and because of that, you have to evaluate it on that basis. Because there were a lot of political events going on at the time, but what is happening today and what happened the other day in the Senate is troubling. I agree with Mr. Padmo that there should have been a strong action taken or warning taken to the SG to let him know where he was. He is vested in power, but his power does not exceed that of the legislature. If we do not understand how our system is supposed to work, then it's not going to work. This democracy is not for everybody. If we wanted to be a despot, if we want to have a dictator, then just call it a day. But if you have the legislature, which has equal powers to the executive, you cannot go into their chambers and challenge them. And if we do not respect these boundaries, then we're going to run into problems. But they handle it, I guess, the way we do typically in Liberia. But it is something to note that the boldness, the audaciousness that we saw the SG took in Senate chambers is something to be concerned about.
I want to make this correction, Mr. Gaiman, just 1 second. Mm-hmm. And I know it will make you excited. Thank you, Brother Keto. Yes, you're right. Senator Dillon did say, I don't know where guns will come from. So yes, guns were mentioned. When I first stated that guns were not mentioned in its original statement, I forgot about the portion where he said you don't know where guns will come from. Yes, he did say that. And thank you for that correction, Mr. Kito.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's go to some of the comments so we can get out of here. I can see.
No calls today, huh? Okay.
No,
no
I don't
calls
think
today.
we'll have time for the calls, but let's go to the comments. Let me pick one that let me see. Let me pick on Wallow here, and somebody can take a stab at this. Mr. Dualo, you want to take a stab at this?
Well, the prison system is not the president's issue to fix. I really same. Go ahead. It's only the executive, by the way.
Mr. Padmore.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Come on, Sam. I mean, like, sometimes you say something, but then when you really fell down on this one,
you know? Fell on the one. It's only the executive.
It is the president's issue. Yes. It falls right in the lap of the president. The whole prison system, the whole what do you call
Justice system.
Jail, the whole jail system. The only thing that doesn't fall within the president's purview is the judicial system.
Theory. Correct.
Which is very different from the prison system and the justice system.
Exactly.
I think you got that mixed up right there.
What's the next one? The system has failed the Liberian people. What is happening in the prison system has been happening for a long time.
Mr.
Yeah, well, this is true because it has been happening, and we need to be creative and innovative to address it. Again, if we do not have money to feed the prisoners, we have to take a different approach. Make them work for their keep. I agree with Mr. Padmo that we have to also employ other people, regular people, but you cannot hold somebody in prison and keep them hungry. This is an immediate issue. So I think because it's an immediate issue, we need to address it right away. What if somebody dies?
What exactly does Cummings have to lose by going as VP to Boakai? And how does going as VP prevent him from achieving his goal of becoming president? Mr. Pamwo.
Look, I'll say this again. Mr. Cummings will not consider any position he has not been offered. It's crazy. Nobody does that. You know, you can't come to me and say, oh, the guy across the street, you know, will you accept a proposal? She never come to propose to me before. What am I accepting? It's crazy. For Cummings to be able to even consider this, to start even thinking about this, start contemplating this, he has to be asked. The issue of a vice standard bearer is a personal issue. It's beyond politics. It's beyond a sympathizer. It's beyond team. It's a personal issue. It's a decision that is made by the candidate. And until VP Boakai comes out and call Alexander Cummings and offers him the position, this thing will not even be contemplated. And so you can start turning this thing around. Here's the thing. Why don't you guys ask VP Boakai, why hasn't he called Cummings yet? If everybody here know this is the most accurate, this is the most successful ticket, if all you people believe that, why don't you ask yourself, why hasn't VP Boakai done this? What is he waiting for?
From my sister Tenant Cooper, VP JMB could not force the CPP to stay afloat. I believe he did what he could, but it was left with the individual leaders to decide. It's not the fault. It's not his fault that they fell apart. Please. Somebody in the background.
Well, you know, Tenant Cooper, you know, it's not his fault, but leadership requires that you keep everybody intact. If people start, even if you're running a business, you're running an organization as a manager, you're going to have people that will challenge each other. They will have fuss, and you have to manage that. That is what leadership requires. So even though it's not your fault, doesn't mean that you shouldn't manage it. You see, and this is what I'm saying. There was a serious rift, and as a leader, you have to manage that rift and get everything in order. You know, and he couldn't force it, but he could manage it. I'm not saying he can, but that is going to be the challenge of being a leader: how to bring people together, how to make them see differently so that they want to work together. That's how leader keep people together.
This is from our brother Yamfor, Rudolph Yamfor. Let JMB Cummings go separately against we are. The Liberian people will choose who they want. No turning back on this one. You want to take a shot at it? Well, let me do this. So listen, it's not about training, but Liberian people will always decide who they want. But arguing for collaboration that strengthens the opposition is a good thing to do personally. I believe so. But either way, President Weah is gone. What's the next one? This is from Yang For again. Mr. Gayman, your support for President Weah seems fake for a similar educated man like you. I can see through your facade. Weah has failed our nation by his silence on corruption ongoing in his government. Mr. Gayman, address that.
Oh, Mr. Yanfor, you are in the basement with Joseph. Well, it's fine. You come out. It's too cold. Come out of that basement. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, put it. Let's come here. This is from Nina Mike in Chorable. Canada says, take care of the widows, the poor, the fatherless in our country. It affects our country. When you do not take care of your country, you as a mayor or government cannot prosper if people are dying in your country. It affects Canada because the poor come to us for help. Okay, next one.
This person is talking about the safety net that Canada has. And she's hoping that collectively Liberia should have some kind of safety net for the poor, for the widows, just as they do in the West. But no particular candidate, not the ANC, not the Unity Party, is addressing anything.
President Weah that has the responsibility to address that.
Is now building homes in all the countries. I mean, in all the countries for the poor. He's bringing the poor people from outside inside. Okay, let's go to this.
My brother Sam Woolley again. No, Jimmy. Cummings went nuclear on the CPP. The moment it became clear, Uri and Lawrence were aligning with Boakai. It was 3-1, and his chances were over. I think
Sam, I don't know about that, because I remember what happened was it came that he was fingering the documents. There was accusation that he changed the framework documents, and it's not what they had agreed to. This was the accusation from Ben and I, Uri, and that is when we started seeing the huge rift and the eventual falling apart. So he was accused, and you say he went nuclear. I think the only thing he did was defend himself. I don't remember him insulting or accusing any other parties. I don't remember that. So when you say he went nuclear, he defended himself. If you don't defend yourself, then people will take advantage of you. So I don't know. Maybe
it's the same Wulu again. Mr. Wulu says, what Palmore just told us is Cummings is eagerly, he capitalized that, Mr. Palmore, awaiting VP Boakai's invitation to be his running mate.
Oh, that's it. Someone you're being childish. Okay, yeah, he eagerly waiting. Let Boakai invite now. He eagerly waiting for Boakai invitation. Let Boakai invite now.
Mr. Dualo.
Yeah, man, you don't want to do this thing.
Sam Waller is quoting Padmore here verbatim.
He's not quoting me.
He said he waited. He said Boakai have not called. Boakai have not made the call. Boakai have not called us.
Put a number on the screen.
That means he's waiting for the call anytime.
Yeah.
Mo Ali is telling you it will not happen. It will not happen.
So then you stop blaming Cummings. Just stop blaming Cummings. I think we're out of time.
My brother Willie Hina said, let me ask this question. Is it a bad thing for opposition parties to be in unity? What Liberians need to discover is the majority has the decision just as in the election. So if the majority wants the CPP to come together in order to win the election, I think they are right. Let not few individuals decide for political parties.
I think this person is right on. I mean, as much as I don't want to see, I shouldn't say this, as much as we are emboldened to see other than come together, so we just beat them, swap one shot, beat other than, so we can't say,
you lie, you're scared. If the CPP come together today, you will go bury yourself.
We want to defeat all of your one shot. That's it. I want Cummings, Nyobli Kanga, Delon, Ure, Boakai, all on one ticket. So we can just swap them.
One ticket.
Swap them, yeah. One would be vice president, secretary of state, secretary of the Senate, all that. So your divided job. We swap you all one time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got 5 minutes.
Yes.
Look, I got to close it, my man.
The Super Bowl is 1 minute to close it. It's a dual of 1 minute.
Look, it was a good discussion, and I enjoyed the audience that stayed engaged. At the end of the day, it's about, for me, I don't see about political party entirely. I just want a good government in Liberia. If President Weah, and I'll say this, Mr. Gibbon, you'll be excited. If President Weah starts to follow the Constitution, if he follows the Constitution, and through the kids of the Liberian people, I'll be the biggest champion of President Weah. At the end of the day, it's not about hating somebody, but if President Weah is not doing the people's bidding, which he has not done for the last 5 years, all President Weah has done is care about himself and the very people he believes that are loyal to him. This man is doing a massive disservice to this country. He's grown our debt for over $1 billion with nothing to show for $1.1 billion that he's borrowed over the last 5 years. This man is destroying the country. Our international connections and our international image has been diminished under President Weah. Our people are poorer. Every indicator show that President Weah is destroying this country. The education rate has gone down. Despite telling there is free education in the country, there is a proliferation of quasi-educational institutions across the country. Anybody can set up. All the government resources are going to individual government officials, and they're claiming it's Weah project. This is destroying us. Weah must go if we are to build this country for our children. The man must go yesterday. He doesn't want to be president. Thank you, audience.
Mr. Padmore, ANC.
Thank you very much. A proud member of the answer. Yes, look. It's always a good discussion with you guys. I hope I have put this thing to rest. You know, until Boakai calls, until that call comes through, we now want to hear nothing about VP business. We will keep on our path to the presidency until we are until we are offered something else to consider. It's as simple as that. Look, the president has responsibilities. The president is the head of the executive. That's how the Constitution says it. That is the only branch of government that is handed to a single individual to make the decisions for. Okay? So the prison system, the social welfare system, all these things fall under the president. It is his job. If he just leave it, we'll find somebody else. That's not force, chief. In our force, we'll find somebody else. Okay? You don't gotta be forcing it. As for people who are talking about Nima County, look, continue to dream. It's just how you feel that Lofa will go to CDC, that you can feel that Nima will go to CDC. Just continue dreaming. You have not been able to win a single election since 2017. And somehow you feel that overnight, people are just going to... And what have you done? That the question I asked this edition, what have you done to make you so convinced? How have you changed people's lives to make you so convinced that they are coming out for you now?
Thank you.
Nothing.
We'll be coming for you.
You have done.
We'll be coming for you. Mr. Eastman, you got 1 minute.
One thing for sure, if we don't fight for ourselves, nobody will fight for us. We do not expect people from other nations, from the World Bank, from IMF, to know what our solution is. We have to be able to do it on our own. To do it on your own requires first respecting the laws that are there. We are part of the problem. We all have to decide that this thing has to change. Not we are government or the Senate. We ourselves as individuals, will not put up with this kind of life anymore.
Thank you very much.
Once we make that decision, then it will replicate itself throughout our society.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Next week, same time, same place, same gentleman. Brilliant idea. It's 6 o'clock. Go the Green Eagles. Bring it home. And 2023, one-round victory, George. We end this and say we are all Liberian, no matter where we come from. Thank you very much.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.